Yahng Jaya's operation had been far more precarious than Meng Jaya's. Several times they nearly exposed themselves, saved only by quick thinking. Pull back, Kael glanced at Yven. Scared, Yven ignored the jab. Kael waved a dismissive hand. Just a joke, we should retreat. Any further, he cut off mid-sentence. Yven didn't hesitate. His figure dissolved into the shadows. From their earlier skirmishes, he knew Kael's spiritual perception far surpassed his own. Two figures approached in the distance. Kael's gaze turned cold. Meng Yo and the other, though Kael had never met him, matched the description of their target, Meng Yo. With their cultivation levels, they couldn't detect the two pairs of eyes hidden in the darkness. Second young master, your injuries aren't fully healed. Why make this trip in person? Meng Yo's face was all obsequious concern. Meng Yo waved it off. I've taken the pills. Nothing serious. What about that matter I had you investigate? Found it. Meng Yo brightened. That brat is from Great Kai Imperial City. Has a Valor Hall background. For some reason, he didn't go to Jade Pinnacle Sect, ended up at Feng, Wu Yven instead. He's been staying at the Murong family in likely a connection there. Also, that huge battle in the Imperial capital, the death of Yahng, the pavilion head, it's all tied to him.
Meng Yo sneered. So he does have some origins.
Right, Meng Yo stepped closer. There's a little maid following him around, a bit simple-minded, very close to him. A little maid, a cold gleam flickered in Meng Yo's eyes. Very close, tell me, how close?
She...
An icy voice slashed through the dark, cutting him off. How about I tell you instead? Both men jolted as if struck and spun around. Kael stood a few paces away, still in his black robes, mask not yet removed. His entire bearing was a drawn sword. Yven sighed inwardly and had no choice but to step out as well.
You're not calm, Yven remarked, glancing at Kael.
Kael drew a deep breath. Brother Yahng, if someone wanted to use your little sister and your mother against you, could you stay calm?
My apologies. Yven fell silent a moment. I spoke out of turn.
Assassin, Meng Yo reacted first, lunging to shield Meng Yo. Second young master, don't worry. With me here, no one will. Kill! Kael's shout was frozen ice from the deepest abyss. Meng Yo's entire body went rigid. A bloom of sword light burst before his eyes.
Thump!
A hair-thin sword mark split his brow. Before blood could even seep, he toppled stiffly. On his face still lingered the eager, ingratiating expression of desperate loyalty. Spirit profound, ninth-layer realm. He should have had the strength to fight. Pity too consumed with proving his devotion, he dropped his guard entirely, never even using his cultivation. Meng Yo's pupils shrank. He recognized that strike. It's you.
It's me. Kael slowly removed his mask. His face was thick with murder, his gaze a blade against the throat.
Surprised?
Meng Yo's complexion drained to ash. He couldn't force out a single word.
What a coincidence, isn't it? Kael raised his sword slowly, killing intent, pinning Meng Yo in place.
Why? You're going to kill me. No, Kael shook his head, his voice eerily calm. I came to answer your question. You asked earlier, how close am I with folly? He locked eyes with Meng Yo, each word deliberate.
She is my life.
Meng Yo's heart plummeted. Death gripped his innards. You, his voice trembled. If you kill me, the consequences. His palm flipped, a jade communication talisman slipping quietly into his hand. Before he could finish.
Crack.
A burst of spiritual force swept through the air, shattering the jade talisman mid-motion. Yven retracted his hand. Now we're even. He remembered what had happened in the forest. Meng Yo completely broke down. Don't kill me, there's no unbreachable grudge between us, right? Let me go. I swear I won't pursue this. I can't even have my father rescind the bounty. Just name what you want. Pills, origin crystals, treasures. My Meng Yo has plenty. Kael tilted his head toward Yven. Brother Yahng, if someone threatened your life, what would you do? Kill them? Yven's answer was immediate. Exactly. Kael nodded and turned back to Meng Yo. Daring to target folly is the same as threatening my life, so... This sword light rose.
No. Thud.
The head separated from the body. Feng Wu Yven. The mountain's foot, once choked with knee, high weeds and desolate ruins, had transformed entirely. A bluestone path, painstakingly cleared, wound from the base to the mid-mountain. On both sides, clusters of spirit flowers and exotic grasses had been transplanted. A breeze swept through, carrying mingled fragrances, alive with renewal. Not a trace of decay remained. All of it was Folly's doing. Folly, still bent over, hands caked with soil, murmured to herself. Young master said this is home. It's gotta be pretty. When young master gets back, he'll be so happy. She straightened, then darted back down to the mountain's base, as if remembering something. She picked up the broken stone tablet, its corner missing, wiped it clean with care, gritted her teeth, and stood it upright again. Planting her hands on her hips, she looked up at the 3 large characters spelling Feng, Wu Yven, and nodded in satisfaction. Her fair little face was smudged with dirt streaks in every direction, making her look even more adorably silly. She didn't notice any of it. A few Yahng behind her, a graceful, alluring figure had already appeared without a sound. Her shadow stretched long in the evening light, her presence utterly non-existent, like a wandering ghost.
Meng Jaya.
What a Meng Ch! Wan bolted to his feet. In less than a day, 27 members of Yahng Jaya were assassinated. Yes, the opposing elder nodded. The message says exactly 27, several of them direct cousins of the Yahng Jaya family head. Unbelievably brazen, Meng Ch. Wan shook his head repeatedly, but his eyes held no sympathy or fury, only a glee he couldn't fully hide. In-laws or not, the underhanded frictions between the 2 clans had never been few. Go, prepare a generous gift. I will pay a personal visit to properly console Brother Yahng. Family head. Before he could finish, another elder stumbled in, his face drained of all color. A calamity has struck. Meng Ch. frowned. I've told you before, stay composed in all matters. The sky is not falling. The second young master is dead. Meng Ch. froze, the cup in his hand slipped and shattered on the ground. Say that again. The reporting elder's voice quaked. Not far from the clan's territory, we found the bodies of second young master and Meng Jae, along with 12 other clan members, all dead. Plop, Meng Ch. Wan collapsed into his seat, his face white as paper.
12 more.
The elder beside him felt a chill crawl down his spine. What do they all have in common? They do. The elder who came to report drew a deep breath. These 12, along with Meng Jae, are all on the black market bounty list, and every wound, a single clean sword strike. Patriarch, the earlier elder cried out in shock. This is exactly the same as Yahng Jaya. It has to be the same person. Speak, Meng Ch. Wan ground his teeth, his eyes nearly splitting from rage. Everything you know, not a single word left out. A long silence. Boom! Deep within the Meng Jaya clan grounds, an earth-shattering detonation erupted. Spiritual energy surged like a tidal wave, instantly tearing the ornate main hall into rubble. Amid the roiling dust and smoke, a figure with disheveled hair looked utterly deranged, waves of power still churning around him. Fat Fu, you dared kill my son. I'll have your blood in payment. The Yahng and Meng clans went mad. Swarm after swarm of clan members poured out, scouring the land at any cost for the Fat Fu who had appeared out of nowhere. Word spread like wildfire across the northern frontier. Jade tokens flickered with messages in countless hands, and whispered exchanges sent the name Fat Fu thundering far and wide. Fat Fu, whoever he is, he did a damn fine thing, came one hushed comment from the crowd. On a sloping sunset road, beneath a dilapidated eave, an old man knelt, tears streaming down his weathered cheeks. My son, your vengeance is done. That beast is dead. You can rest now. The fading light caught his graying hair. Shadows hung in silence. Inside an unremarkable valley, Kael's face was full of lingering fear. Good thing we pulled back early. Correct, Yven nodded, still shaken. Meng Yo's death had been an accident. After killing him, the 2 had immediately stopped and left. Barely had they gone when they ran into the mass of clansmen, flooding out. Working with you, I'm at ease and feel good about it. Kael turned, his expression earnest, much better than that chubby guy. Fatty, Yven blinked, then recalled the scene at Wildwood. Enlightenment dawned. You mean that Fat Fu is him? Correct. Kael's face darkened. This Fat Fu is a real piece of work. Yven fell silent, inwardly thinking that Kael himself was also a bit of a piece of work. A moment later, Yven asked again, one thing I've never understood, why did you turn down the invitation from Azure Cloud Pavilion? For countless people, that's a matter of dreams. Kael shot him a glance. I said it long ago. I clash with Azure Cloud Pavilion, especially that you and Guy, Yana Murong's sister, was right. People like him are hypocritical, vain, and no good. Yana Murong is your sister. What, you know her well too?
Well?
Yven unconsciously rubbed his arm, which began throbbing faintly again. Within the jade pinnacle sect. Boom, boom. Yana Murong strode forward, the amethyst gold colossus maul slung over her shoulder, its massive head dragged along the stone path, spraying sparks and carving a deep furrow into the rock. Everyone watching that departing figure felt a headache coming on. What madness was this crazy woman about to unleash? Junior sister, Nero's Shanks caught up to her at the Shanmun gate, his face tight with anxiety. What are you doing? Hammering people, Yana swung the maul, a cold laugh slicing through the air. I was gone just a few days, and those bastard families have already raised the bounty on Brother Gu to 8 million. No one bullies him that way. You think he has no one behind him. I'm going to smash those families one door at a time.
Yahng already warned them. They won't dare go too far.
Not too far. Yana Murong's eyes rounded with outrage. 8 million is not too far. That's enough to kill someone in the Divine Connection realm several times over.
Can Brother Gu withstand it? Yahng is Yahng, and I am me. He warns people his way. I help people mine. Your fiery temper will cause monstrous trouble if you go. Nero's shanks. Yana grabbed his shoulder, fury blazing in her grip. Why didn't I notice before what a spineless lump you are? Asterisk, hiss asterisk. Nero's Shanks's face turned pale, his shoulder bones cracking loudly under the pressure. Junior sister, stop. It's about to break. I thought you said you wouldn't hit me anymore. Ha, did I ever say that? Yana shot him a look.
Gritting his teeth against the pain, Nero's Shanks forced out, That's not actually what I meant. Going to the Yahng and Meng clans now is useless. Brother Gu is in danger of losing his life at any moment. You should go protect him first. Right, Yana Murong's expression cleared with sudden understanding. She released her grip, an apologetic note flickering in her eyes.
Senior brother, you're the smart one. I'm sorry, I really won't hit you again. Nero's Shanks smiled miserably. The hell I believe you. His body went light as she seized his shoulder again, and they were off in an instant. Let's go, we head to Feng. Wu Yven first to find Brother Gu. After that, we'll turn around and smash those two families. By the time they tracked Kael down in the Feng, Wu Yven foothills, night had fallen. A small campfire crackled, its sparks spiraling into the dark.
Kael sat rigid, his mind already churning through the rumors about the secret realm. Inside that secret realm, are there spiritual medicines that can restore soul force? His voice cut through the snapping flames. Nero Shanks's expression turned grave. Brother Gu, in the secret realm, there is only one true great opportunity. The rest of the spirit herbs and strange fruits, you absolutely cannot touch any of them. They mean death. No matter how high your cultivation, if you consume them, you forfeit your life. All these years, anyone who didn't believe it, not one has come out alive. Kael's brows knotted, then why even go inside? The opportunity, Nero Shanks said, a trace of lingering fear in his eyes. That opportunity is too vast. So vast that when you see it with your own eyes, you'll understand. The fire spat a shower of sparks, orange light flickering across their faces, shadows shifting to reveal the secrets each held in their heart. Kael gave a bitter laugh. So even if I find spirit medicine, it's useless. Yana Murong waved a dismissive hand. Don't worry, when I get back, I'll press those good. For nothing's under me harder, all these days, and not a shred of news. Utterly useless. Kael shook his head. Spirit medicines that restore soul force are rare by nature. Don't make things hard for them. Restore soul force. Yven, who had been silent all along, suddenly spoke, hesitation lacing his voice. You need that kind of spirit medicine. Kael's gaze flared with sudden light. I do. Most of the reason I scrape and bleed to earn origin crystals is exactly for this. Yven hesitated a moment, then said quietly, I know of a place where one such precious herb is hidden. Where? Kael shot to his feet, his body leaning forward, eyes blazing with a piercing intensity that seemed to hold twin ghostly flames. Yven felt his heart lurch under that stare. It wasn't only him. Yana Murong's eyes instantly lit up as well. Yahng Jaya, Yven said, his throat dry, inside the secret realm. Before the words had fully left his mouth, he already regretted them. The light in Kael's eyes was about to burn a vivid green. Kael clamped a hand on Yven's shoulder, his voice brimming with scorching excitement. Brother Yahng, I have another path to wealth. Are you interested? Yven instinctively pulled back, dipping his shoulder to sidestep half a pace. A tremor he couldn't hide crept into his voice. No deal! His heart clenched, invading a secret realm. That was nothing like dealing with a single person from the Yahng Jaya. Yven knew better than anyone what a secret realm meant to a clan. This man was utterly insane. Kael refused to give up. Brother Yahng, where is your courage? You weren't this timid when we went to the Yahng Jaya. How can they be the same? Yven finally burst out. You're talking about invading a secret realm, not assassinating someone in secret. Yven, Yana Murong flared up. You can't even seize a fortune delivered to your doorstep. No wonder you've stayed poor until now. Yven laughed in anger. This wasn't a path to wealth. It was a road to death. He said no more, stepping back several paces and nailing his refusal into the silence with his turned back. Yet Yana Murong swept her hand grandly, brimming with audacity. Brother Gu, ignore him. This big sister will cooperate with you. With just the two of us, a tiny secret realm won't be difficult to seize. Nero Shanks's head ached fiercely. Junior sister, don't add to the chaos. Scared, Yana glanced sideways at him. If you're scared, you don't have to come. Nero Shanks, since when did I say I was going?
The more Yana thought, the more excited she became. She raised a hand to slap Kael's shoulder, but seeing he was too far, she landed a heavy palm on Nero Shanks's shoulder instead.
Nero Shanks grimaced in pain, his face turning green. Brother, this big sister has a clever scheme. Yana gloated. The old ancestor has long been displeased with those two families. I'll go back and stir things up, have the Murong family start a fight with the Yahng Jaya, and ideally drag the Jade Pinnacle sect into it too. With the strength of our two powers, destroying the Yahng Jaya would be as easy as turning over a hand. The secret realm will fall into our laps, won't it? Silence swallowed the campfire's crackle. The leaping firelight swept over Nero Shanks's twitching lips, Yven's rigid back, and Kael's stunned gaze. Nero Shanks drew a deep breath. Junior sister, I fear the moment you mention this to the elders, you'll be locked up. Besides, even if Elder Murong and the Jade Pinnacle sect both agreed, the chiefs Sha Yven and Meng Jaya would never stand idly by. By then, a multi-clan war would be a calamity sweeping across the northern territory of the eastern wastes. Yana Murong froze, so serious. The three exchanged glances, none answering. The firelight danced on her face, illuminating her bewilderment. Within Feng Wu Yven, Folly had just set a stone tablet upright, sweat still beading on her forehead, a broad grin splitting her face. Senior sister Yu Miao watched quietly nearby, a rare trace of gentleness surfacing in her eyes. Suddenly, a soft sigh rang out of thin air. Ah! Folly's smile instantly froze. A figure materialized in the twilight, graceful and alluring the demoness Ione. Ione's expression was full of disappointment, her tone mournful. What a pity I've been discovered. Pay, Folly spat angrily. You shameless woman, what are you here for now? What for? Ione seemed on the verge of tears. Naturally, to find my dear brother Kael. Truly a heartless man. I poured my deep affection into him, yet he treats me this way. Yu Miao's brow furrowed slightly. You like my junior brother. I am Ione. Reacting with astonishing speed, Ione smiled sweetly and bowed. Greetings to senior sister. Yu Miao studied her for a moment, her frown deepening. Your looks are passable. It's a pity my junior brother doesn't like your type. Is that so? As soon as the words left her lips, Ione's entire aura shifted abruptly. Seductive allure turned to pure innocence, bewitchment to sacredness, eyes like clear pools, a countenance of transcendent purity, carrying a coldness that kept others at arm's length, forbidding any profanity. Senior sister, she bowed gracefully again, her voice like shattering jade. What about like this? Not bad. Yu Miao nodded. It seems my junior brother does like this sort. Swoosh. A sharp, thin whistle split the air. A jade needle wrapped in icy light shot back into Yu Miao's hand, and at the center of Ione's brow, a bead of blood starkly oozed forth, a heart, stopping crimson. Senior sister, Ione sighed mournfully. You truly are ruthless. Before the words fully faded, her figure drifted away like Ru Yan, leaving only a lingering smile in the air. The coldness in Yu Miao's eyes did not fade. Her voice was like ice. I don't care what you're planning. If you dare touch my junior brother, or Folly, I will make you regret it for the rest of your life. Giggle, a soft laugh drifted over, fading into the distance. Senior sister, rest assured, I dote on brother Kael so much, how could I ever harm him? Since he's not here, I'll search elsewhere. Little girl, you must grow up quickly. Ah, Folly stomped in fury, dust puffing up around her feet. Stinky woman, come out. Folly, Yu Miao patted her head. She's already gone. Senior sister, why didn't you capture her? That woman is very, very bad. Silly girl. Yu Miao sighed softly. Truth be told, I can't do much against her either. Ah, Folly's little face drooped instantly. It's over, I'm worried about young master. That woman is so shameless. Young master will definitely be seduced by her. Yu Miao. In the distance, the twilight deepened. At that moment, on a desolate path elsewhere, Kael had parted ways with Yven and sped alone toward Feng Wu Yven. Worry for Folly gnawed at his heart, and his pace quickened without a second thought. Without warning, the night breeze died, the insects fell silent, a prickle of killing intent ghosted across the back of his neck, needle, fine and ice-cold. Spiritual sense attack. Kael's spirit platform remained perfectly calm. Deep within his soul sea, the grand evolution visualization chart shimmered faintly, and the invading darkness ebbed away like a low tide, leaving nothing behind. A soft exclamation of surprise whispered from the shadows. Whoever it was hadn't expected their spiritual assassination to vanish without a ripple. Asterisk clang, asterisk. The second strike had already arrived. Sparks raked the night. Kael's feet shattered the ground beneath him as he shot backward dozens of Yahng. The sword of slaying hummed with interwoven prime arrival, sword Kai, the force jolting through his opponent's wrist and making the attack stutter. Only now did Kael clearly see his assailant. Black tight-fitting clothes, a silver mask, in hand a half Kai dagger glowed with a ghostly light. Despite being seen, the figure remained elusive, half blended with the night breeze itself. The man glanced at the two hairline cracks, slowly spidering along the dagger's blade, and regret flickered across his eyes. Asterisk whoosh, asterisk. In the next breath, his form flickered and shot straight for Kael. Asterisk boom, asterisk. A sudden upheaval erupted nearby. A powerful surge of Kai burst skyward, and the tip of a great spear carved through the air in a shriek of sonic booms. A figure split the darkness like a dragon breaching the sea, unstoppable.
Yven?
Asterisk clang, asterisk. Metal screamed against metal. The two shapes collided and separated in an instant. Yven had come out the worse for it. You all right? He shot Kael a look. Right on time. Kael shook out his numbed arm. Nothing serious. This one's got some skill. Know who he is. Yven tightened his grip on the spear. Unless I miss my guess, he's Gu Ying. Top of the black market assassin ranking list for 10 years. Kael's eyes narrowed. 800,000. Nobody hands that out for free. His most famous fight, Yven drew a deep breath, was one strike severely wounding a cultivator at the 5th layer of the air-stepping realm. Not surprising, Kael nodded. He's got a method to hide his aura. One careless moment, and you'd walk right into death. Gu Ying faced the two encircling him, his gaze perfectly calm. I don't understand. He fixed his stare on Kael, his voice dry as sand. How did you detect me? Kael considered for a moment. Why don't you take a guess? You're strong. Gu Ying ignored the mockery, his tone unshaken. Too strong for the Kai convergence realm. Those 800,000 origin crystals might be harder to earn than I thought. Kael's reply was starkly serious. That 800,000. I'm afraid you'll have to trade your life for it. Life? Gu Ying shook his head, and a thread of arrogance seeped into his words. Killers leave by the day and die by the night. The risks are immense, but I'm different. I've never failed a job. I've survived this long not just by strength, but by caution. He had been cautious indeed. Half a day earlier he'd already laid his ambush on this very road, the only path to Feng, Wu Yven. Whether Kael came or went, one strike would settle everything. Kael cocked his head. Something you haven't quite grasped. 2 of us, 1 of you. 2 against 1. We hold the advantage. Gu Ying laughed. I see right through your scheme. I plan to turn your own trap back on you. I just didn't expect you to survive 2 of my strikes, but it makes no difference. Against absolute power, all tricks crumble. His gaze shifted to Yven, assessing, judging by your moves, you're a killer too. A nameless nobody. Yven's face gave away nothing. You wouldn't know me. I've rarely taken jobs in recent years, Gu Ying said slowly. Once I finish this bounty, I'll retire, leave the northern territory of the eastern wastes. Travel the world, see its wonders. For a killer, that's the best ending. Kael's expression turned strange. Brother Yahng, you know what it means when a killer talks too much.
What?
His death is closing in. Kael slowly lifted his longsword, and that last speech of his, no matter how you hear it, it sounds exactly like a man's dying words. Gu Ying's tone froze over. He flipped his dagger into a reverse grip and advanced. Words are useless. In the end, it all comes down to strength. Asterisk whoosh, asterisk. Before his words fully faded, his form blurred and reappeared directly in front of Yven. The dagger's dark gleam lunged for Yven's forehead, while a hammer, blow of divine sense, crashed into his mind. Yven's vision warped for a heartbeat, his reactions slowing by half a beat. A divine sense attack against an ordinary mystic spirit realm cultivator, that moment would have been fatal. Instead of retreating, Yven gritted his teeth and surged forward. He poured every drop of cultivation into the great spear, its tip also aimed at Gu Ying's forehead. If Gu Ying didn't pull back, both would die. Gu Ying cursed inwardly, wrenched his attack aside, and twisted his body to evade. He wasn't willing to trade lives. The instant he retreated, a killing intent cold as polished steel locked onto him, the air turned frigid. Every hair on his neck stood rigid. It was Kael.
Killed.
The longsword descended. Gu Ying's divine sense blanketed the area, barely shaking off the killing intense grip. His dagger flashed upward to block. Asterisk crack, asterisk. A soft noise split the air. The crack in the dagger spread like a living thing, racing outward. Before Gu Ying could even mourn the blade, a new anomaly tore from the sword's edge. The inch-long sword aura, compressed to its absolute limit, suddenly detonated. Over a dozen streaks of prime arrival's sword, Kai shot forth like threads of sharpened light, slicing toward his vital points. Asterisk thud, thud thud, asterisk. Blood bloomed in the darkness, muffled whispers of steel meeting flesh, sword Kai carved wounds deep to the bone. The cloying sweetness of blood mingled with the night breeze. Gu Ying lurched backward, eyes blazing with fury and simmering resentment. With his power, he was confident against either opponent alone, but Kael didn't fear divine sense, and Yven fought every exchange as if it were a trade of lives. These two were his natural counters. 2 against 1. Asterisk, we hold the advantage. Asterisk. Gu Ying's chest churned so violently he wanted to scream. Asterisk boom, asterisk. Before he could form a word, Yven's great spear thrust toward him again. Asterisk clang, asterisk, he blocked it clumsily. Before he could draw breath, Kael's sword of slaying arrived. Asterisk clang, asterisk, another block. Asterisk clang, 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 asterisk. Sword and spear alternated in seamless rhythm, attacks hammering down like a storm. Under the relentless onslaught, Gu Ying dodged and reeled, his robes shredded into ribbons. The blows from Kael and Yven fell one after another, relentless and wind-tight, leaving no gap to breathe. The longer the battle raged, the colder Gu Ying's heart grew. His cultivation was a full tier above theirs. He could hold out for quite some time, but killing these two, it was impossible. Their coordination was too seamless, like 2 fingers of a single hand, sealing off every inch of space he could shift into. Asterisk, I need to leave. Asterisk. The thought barely surfaced, and his eyes flickered for a hair's breadth. His rhythm of parrying wavered, just that single thread. Kael's gaze, sharp as lightning, caught it instantly. Brother Yahng, don't let him escape. Right. Yven clenched his teeth, and his entire fighting style shifted. He swung both arms in a vicious arc, the great spear rising high, abandoning the life, trading strikes from before. Madly, he channeled a torrent of spiritual power into the shaft, and smashed it down onto Gu Ying's head. The spear tore the air with a piercing shriek. Gu Ying, already retreating, was brutally forced to a halt by that single strike. His dagger shot up to meet it. Asterisk bang, asterisk. A thunderous boom erupted, as if muffled thunder had cracked open the night. Gu Ying's entire body sank under the impact. The ground beneath his feet instantly caved in, his frame frozen for a fleeting moment. Asterisk now, asterisk. The opening Yven had carved, there was only one. Kael hurled himself forward. He abandoned the sharp lethality of the longsword. His black robes billowed, and his body itself became the weapon, as he savagely closed the distance. Gu Ying's pupils constricted sharply, then elation flooded through him. The two men's fighting style had changed. That suffocating sense of synergy from before had vanished, and gaping openings lay exposed. Gu Ying rode the residual force of Yven's smashing strike, his figure, as swift as a spectre, instantly crisscrossing past Kael. The one who dies is ultimately you. A hideous snarl twisted Gu Ying's face. The crack, riddled dagger flared with a dark gleam as it stabbed straight for the center of Kael's forehead. Is that so? Kael smiled. Within his eyes, a fiendish purple glint flickered and vanished. Soul seizure. Gu Ying's eyes went blank. A hollow emptiness swallowed his pupils. The dagger's trajectory veered by inches, slicing only a stray strand of hair near Kael's temple. In less than a breath, Gu Ying had regained clarity, but it was enough. A muffled sound, an icy spear tip, burst through Gu Ying's chest from behind, flesh and blood blooming silently. Gu Ying slowly lowered his head, staring at the protruding blade. Disbelief and despair flooded his eyes. He knew it was over. No chance remained. Why? Gu Ying's glare locked onto Kael. I am clearly stronger than you. Kael panted, his voice hoarse. Told you. We had numbers. 2 against 1. A guaranteed win. A blade of light rose, tracing a cold arc across Gu Ying's throat. Awareness snuffed out. The world in his eyes shattered into endless darkness. Silence settled. Kael looked at Yven. Yven looked back, his face ashen. A long moment passed. How about you stop holding it in? That can't be comfortable. Kael's gaze was flat. Yven coughed, and a long, suppressed mouthful of stagnant blood splattered the ground. Kael hacked violently, blood staining his lapels. That number 1 assassin coughed actually had some skill. It had looked like they held the upper hand, but they'd been going all out from the start. Every exchange was a life or death gamble. One slip, and they'd be the corpses on the ground. Kael sucked in air, dropped heavily to the ground, and pulled Gu Ying's storage ring free, frowning. The number 1 assassin, and this is all the origin crystal he has. The ring held just over 1 million origin crystal, and even fewer pills and spirit materials. Normal, Yven picked up the silver mask, examining it. A man like him converts origin crystal straight into strength the moment he gets it. Most assassins are the same. Then wasn't it a waste, HM? What's this? Kael dug out a golden jade token from the storage ring, then pulled out his own white jade token to compare. Why is it different from mine? As soon as he spoke, a blaze of golden light erupted with a buzz. Gu Ying's jade token bleached gray, white, its luster draining, then shattered into ash. Meanwhile, Kael's token blazed golden. His name shot upward, seizing Gu Ying's former spot, the top spot. Dead silence fell over the black market. The token's glow lit frozen faces, one after another. Everyone watched helplessly as Fat Fu vaulted from 15th to 1st in a single leap, surging to the top of the assassin ranking list. The name Gu Ying vanished completely. Two men snapped out of it first, terror seizing their hearts. Gu Ying is dead. Fat Fu killed Gu Ying, that Gu Ying who lorded over the top spot for years, whose name made the entire northern territory of the eastern wastes pale. Hisses swept through the crowd, many went weak in the knees. This wasn't just prowess, it was earth-shattering. Look, we forgot a rule. Another pointed at the jade token, voice parched. The black market protects the top spot. The name at first on the assassin ranking list never appears on the bounty list. Everyone instinctively looked. On the bounty list, the 3 characters Fat Fu were slowly fading. The 2 astronomical bounties totaling 40 million origin crystal dissolved on their own, leaving no trace. In a corner, the cultivator who had bet everything stared blankly at the empty board. His allotted origin crystal lay scattered on the ground. His legs gave out and he collapsed, beyond weeping. How is this possible? A streak of dark, gold light settled deep within the jade token. Goal, rank assassin, identity data updated. Codename Fat Fu, rank Gia superior, high authority, Styx ferryman, pending. Kael swept at a glance and paid it no mind. They consumed pills, wounds mostly healed, and stepped back into the black market hall. Fat Fu, an excited, trembling shout crashed into them head on. I knew you could pull it off. Pull what off? Kael and Yven took in the hall's bizarre atmosphere, some laughing madly as they raked in heaps of origin crystal, onlookers wearing pained expressions but daring not complain. They'd struck it rich, all because they'd bet right on Fat Fu. This brother, the man saw Kael enter and greeted him with fervor. In our black market, a godlike figure by the name of Fat Fu, he... Not interested, Kael cut him off coldly. Also, I've no fondness for anyone surnamed Fu who's a fatty. The man choked, cursing inwardly. What arrogance. If you've got the guts, say that to Fat Fu's face. 1 finger, and he'd grind you to paste. Kael ignored him, and with Yven, turned into a branching passage, collecting the bounty. That was the most anticipated moment. The black-clothed man remained indifferent until he saw the golden jade token. His pupils contracted. You are Fat Fu. Is there a problem? No. The man steadied himself, calculated quickly, and proffered a storage ring. The cold ring dropped into Kael's palm, heavy against his fingers. Faint light shifted on its surface, revealing a hazy aura of densely packed origin crystal. 39 bounties, 16,800,000 origin crystal. Temporarily ranked first on the assassin ranking list, so the commission is waived. Commission? Kael hefted the ring, a chill seeping into his skin, as expected of the black market. Truly black. The black-clothed man's mouth twitched. This kid was a first-timer, truly clueless. What about other things? Kael lifted his gaze. The number 1 spot must come with special treatment, right? Origin crystal. I know. Pills. I know. Treasures, techniques, divine abilities. None of the above. Kael pocketed the ring and turned, then farewell. Wait. An aged voice fell from nowhere. The air congealed, Kael's shoulder blades tightened, a chill like needles crawling up his spine. A figure materialized out of thin air before him, green robes, white hair, weathered features. But his eyes held a clear light as tangible as spring water, a single glance enough to pierce a man's heart. Elder Mu. The black-clothed man hurriedly bowed. In Kael's mind, alarm bells screamed. This pressure it felt almost identical to what Murong Yven had imposed that day. Beyond Kai Convergence Realm, or higher. Elder Mu dismissed the man and casually laid down a restriction. Spiritual energy rippled from his fingertips like transparent water, spreading silently along the stone walls. All noise was sucked away, leaving a dull hum. Young friend, may I have a word? Kael's teeth ached. The restriction was already up, so why ask? Senior, Kael secretly gathered his kai, muscles coiling beneath the robe. I earned that bounty fair and square. I didn't break any black market rules. Rest assured, I mean no harm. Then what does Senior want?
Elder Mu's expression turned serious, gaze falling on the jade token. Have you noticed the change?
Kael's heart skipped a beat. Styx Ferryman, Senior. He suppressed the tension in his throat, plastering on a slick smile.
This Styx Ferryman, what exactly is it?
Just as the name implies, Elder Mu's voice dropped. It guides people across the Yellow Springs, helping them find early reincarnation. Guide across the Yellow Springs, early rebirth.
Kael paused, then clicked his tongue. Isn't that still just a killer?
Yeah, Elder Mu choked.
There's a difference.
A difference in name. A vein throbbed on Elder Mu's forehead. He took a deep breath. This matter involves too much. I can't go into detail. If you agree, you'll learn its secrets. The role doesn't conflict with your identity, and the benefits are immense.
Benefits? Kael's fingertips rubbed the cold edges of his storage ring, his eyes still calculating.
No, cut from my earnings. Another vein bulged. What kind of benefit is that?
Kael glanced at him. If the old man still wouldn't turn hostile after this, it wasn't a good temper. It was a deep agenda.
Senior, Kael dropped his roguish tone. If I refuse, you won't stop me from leaving, right?
Of course not. Elder Mu shook his head. This matter is entirely voluntary. If you hadn't rocketed to first on the assassin list so quickly, I wouldn't have extended the invitation.
Gu Ying dominated for 10 years and never received such an honor.
Then forget it. Kael was as decisive as a snapped blade. I refuse. Truly refuse. Elder Mu's brows furrowed deeply. The black market is just a minor outer faction of the organization.
Only by becoming a ferryman can you access its core secrets and gain benefits beyond the imagination of ordinary people.
Such a heaven-sent opportunity.
The more Elder Mu urged, the sharper Kael's wariness grew.
The black market's undercurrents stretched far deeper than Kael had guessed. A Kai convergence cultivator like him, if he plunged headlong into those murky depths, wouldn't even glimpse death coming. And benefits, in this world, nothing came free.
I've always been a free and easy person, not fond of being bound. Kael lifted his chin, his tone lazy but his gaze utterly unwavering.
So, I must respectfully decline. Elder Mu studied him, a lucent stream of Kai swirling in his eyes before settling into stillness.
So be it.
Then let it be. If you change your mind in the future, this agreement remains open.
Elder Mu gave a casual wave. The restriction fractured in silence, a web of fine cracks spreading like ice under sudden pressure. A crisp, faint sound shivered through the air, and the lingering spiritual energy scattered into wisps of light that brushed the hem of Kael's robe. Kael let out a quiet, inward sigh. Without another word, he turned and left.
Yven was already waiting outside. When he saw Kael emerge, a flicker of confusion lit his eyes. What took you so long?
Kael seized Yven's arm. Go. Without another word, he bolted at breakneck speed.
They tore out of the black market, figures flashing like lightning. Over 100 lie past in a single breath. Wind screamed past their ears, scrub and trees blurred to smears on either side. The earth rumbled beneath their frantic strides.
Only when no hint of pursuit lingered did Kael skid to a halt and expel a turbid breath. Elder Mu, it seemed, was a man of his word after all.
What exactly happened? It was the first time Yven had seen Kael this alert. Was your identity exposed?
No, Kael waved a hand. They wanted to recruit me. I refused.
Yven fell quiet a moment, then shook his head with a self-deprecating twist of his lips. Right, with your battle record, only Vale would have missed that.
They don't know about that, Kael said, smoothly pivoting the conversation. Here's what I'm curious about. You've got no special physique, no bloodline, haven't even touched the extreme realm, and your cultivation method is only mid-grade Misty Crank.
So, how does your combat strength outclass those so-called prodigies?
Yven said nothing. A fleeting shadow of desolation crossed his eyes, then was gone. Kael didn't press. He clapped Yven on the shoulder, and together they shot forward again.
Half a quarter hour later, about 100 lie from Feng. Wu Ywen, they both halted.
Brother Yven, it's time, Kael said. Indeed, Yven nodded. The desolation burned away, his eyes now blazing with fierce light. Clatter 40. 2 storage rings appeared in their hands at once. The full haul of their venture, Gu Ying's included no more, no less.
Split.
Kael shoved the whole pile into Yven's hands. I'm hopeless at this. You handle it. Yven didn't argue. He snatched up the first ring and began rattling off numbers like a volley of arrows, each figure startlingly precise. By the second line, Kael's scalp prickled. He waved a hand, just the total.
In less than a quarter hour, Yven stopped.
Done, Kael demanded.
Done. Yven exhaled a long breath, his voice carrying a faint tremor. Including the value of the rings themselves, the total is 1,356,349 origin crystals. Together with the bounties, the sum was even bigger, over 38 million.
Kael's fingers twitched before he forced them still. 60 for me, 40 for you. Keep the odd change.
Hold on. Yven drew the silver lone eagle mask from his robes and tossed it over. This can veil your aura. It's worth a fair bit. Think of it as extra pay. The mask was cool in his grip, a subtle thrum of spiritual energy pulsing through his fingertips, dampening the wearer's presence. A genuine treasure. Kael ran his thumb over the mask's surface and nodded. All right, I'll take 14 million plus the pills and herbs. The rest is yours. Yven didn't pause. He packed Kael's origin crystals and herbs into a separate ring, passed it over, and clutched the remainder so tightly his knuckles blanched. With these origin crystals, he could do so much, so very much. Brother Yven, Kael's spirit soared. He thrust out a hand. Next time there's a chance to strike it rich. Still up for working together. Good, Yven didn't hesitate, gripping it at once. Following Kael meant striking it rich, really rich. But before Yven could say more, Kael's smile iced over. His spiritual sense unfurled through the night. Distant footsteps, chaotic, stamping, shattered the quiet. Over a dozen, auras closed in fast, tangled with killing intent. Company, Kael said, eyes like flint, lots of it. By seniority, you should be calling me uncle. The Yahng Jaya clansman's voice was barbed, eyes fixed on Yven. Join the Jade Pinnacle sect, and now you're too good for everyone. Don't forget, the blood in your veins is Yahng Jaya blood. The Meng Jaya clansman stood by, arms folded, smirking in silence. Let's go, Yven said, face blank, nodding for Kael to follow. Kael stayed put. His gaze swept over the Yahng and Meng clansmen, narrowing. These people weren't about to let anything slide tonight. Something big had happened within the family. Yahng Jaya's patriarch, Yong Tong, had rained curses down on everyone. They'd been scouring the countryside for any trace of fat fu, frustration boiling in their veins. Yven made the perfect scapegoat. Go where? The Yahng Jaya clansmen stepped into their path. This road leads to the black market. What shady business are you crawling back from? You even need to ask. There's nothing Yven won't stoop to. So many clan brothers gravely wounded all because of that accursed Yahng Lan. The disaster star of Yahng Jaya, as expected. Yven kept silent. His hand on the spear shaft turned white, knuckled, veins standing thin and taut. A flicker of sorrow lit his eyes, then vanished beneath his lowered lids. The Meng Jaya clansman rolled his eyes and doused the fire in oil. Maybe this disaster that hit both families has Yven's fingerprints on it too. Makes sense. The Yahng Jaya clansman's eyes lit up. We'll have to report this to the patriarch when we return thoroughly. Brother Yven, Kael's voice deepened. These are your clansmen. Yven said nothing, but the desolation settled deeper into his bones. Brat, the Yahng Jaya clansman fixed Kael with a cold glare and barked. A mere Kai convergence, whelp dares poke his nose where it doesn't belong. Mind your tongue, or you just might lose your life. Puffed up with their status, they rarely mixed with the black market. They'd seen the bounty notices, but Kael's face meant nothing to them. Murderous intent surged in Kael's chest, but a strange smile tugged at his lips. Brother Yven, what do you say to another collaboration? Yven caught his meaning. 4 divine connection cultivators, none past the 5th layer. If they threw everything in together, swallowing them whole wasn't unthinkable. Those sovereign utterance, ant and mayfly, could be crushed on a whim. Yven's hesitance wasn't fear of a fight, it was reluctance to owe Kael another debt. TCH, the Meng Jaya clansman sneered, dead set on wading through muddy water, are you? Today, if we don't teach you a lesson, any stray cat or mangy dog will think they can run roughshod over us. I'm no stray cat or dog. Kael's laugh cut sharp, and a flash of icy killing intent flickered in his eyes. Not long ago, you put an 8 million origin crystal bounty on my head. That gives my name a little weight, don't you think? He revealed himself without prompting. Yven's brow furrowed. This has nothing to do with you. Doesn't matter. Kael waved dismissively. They disgust me. Those looks on their faces just like my own clansmen. I really, really hate them. 8 million. The 2 family clansmen caught on instantly. You're the top disciple of Feng. Wu Yven. The one and only. Kael nodded, still smiling. A nice surprise, isn't it? Clansmen traded a look. A silent understanding passed between them, indeed a surprise. There was no way they'd let Kael walk away tonight. Yven, the Yahng Jaya clansman snarled. You know what he's done. Colluding with him just as expected. A traitor gnawing from within. Seize Yven, hand him over to the patriarch. What about the brat? Since we crossed paths, just kill him. No one will ever know. Kill me.
Kael drew his longsword, the blade sliding free with a slow hiss. Brother Yven, usual rules. Fine. Yven's hesitation vanished. His spear shivered, and his aura surged upward. Yven, how dare... Before the words could land, the ground underfoot began to tremble. Everyone exchanged baffled glances. Kael blinked. This commotion felt oddly familiar. In the next heartbeat, a rough, booming voice erupted in the distance. Senior brother Nero's Shanks, hurry it up. Kael's been gone way too long. He's definitely in trouble.
It was Yahng Murong.
Junior sister, Nero's Shanks' helpless voice trailed after. The northern territory of the eastern wastes is endless. Where do we even start looking? We still have to look. Go back to the Murong family and bring people. I'll sniff around first. Senior brother Nero's Shanks, you broke again. Useless.
Refused to train your body, and now, Yahng Murong halted mid-stride, her eyes locking onto the tense standoff.
Isn't that him? She spotted Kael in an instant and broke into a huge grin. Kael's right here. HM. Her gaze landed on the Yahng and Meng clansmen. She didn't need to ask. The picture snapped clear in her mind. Bah, daring to bully my brother Kael. Yahng Murong erupted in fury. A pale yellow glow of spiritual light flared across her body, wrapping around her arm. With a violent swing, the amethyst gold colossus maul shot from her hand, tearing the air with a piercing screech. The air churned as the giant hammer became a streak of light, hurtling straight toward the two families.
Eat my hammer!
The clansmen stared, dumbfounded. They had been bullying him, true, but she hadn't even bothered to ask first. Boom, before the maul landed. A crushing pressure bore down on them, suffocating.
Brother Yven, retreat. Kael's scalp prickled. The hammer wasn't aimed at them, but even a grazing blow would probably wreck the extreme realm.
Yven, having suffered that maul once before, moved faster than Kael, retreating with explosive speed. Yahng Murong, the clansmen of both families glared, eyes blazing with fury. You dare.
Boom!
The explosion was deafening. The earth quaked violently, dirt and stone erupting skyward as a shockwave swept outward in a ring. Where the clansmen had stood, a crater dozens of zhangs wide now gaped. Yahng Murong had thrown her full strength into that single strike.
Through the dust and smoke, 4 disheveled figures scrambled out in panic, clothes tattered, bodies blood streaked. The rest there was no need to mention.
Yahng Murong, a young Jaya clansman, staggered from the haze, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. You dare kill members of our two families. Now's our chance. Kael and Yven exchanged a look. Strike.
The 4 survivors were at the Divine Connection realm, but their wounds had crippled their combat strength. Good, Yven brandished his long spear, his form darting forward, straight for the young Jaya clansman who had cursed him the loudest.
You dare? Yven, you're betraying your own bloodline.
Ah, I'll kill you all.
The shout hadn't faded before Yahng Murong's eyes lit up. Brother Kael, this big sister's got your back. With a sweep of her hand, the great hammer flew back to her grasp, and she hefted it onto her shoulder. I've been itching to pound these bastards, bullying my brother Kael. I'll hammer you into paste. She hollered at Nero's Shanks. Senior brother Nero's Shanks, keep your eyes peeled. Don't let them slip away.
You took Nero's Shanks' side in resignation. Go easy. He made no move to stop them.
Boom, boom.
Yahng Murong dove into the fray, the amethyst gold colossus maul howling in wild, chaotic arcs, whipping up fierce bursts of astral wind. Kael and Yven had planned a pincer strike, but her overwhelming, unorthodox swings shattered their rhythm. They ducked and dodged, and soon a harsh realization settled. They were no longer needed. She used no divine abilities, no secret arts. Pure, monstrous strength powered the great hammer, a blur of afterimages, smashing relentlessly toward the 4 men. Step by step they retreated, too terrified to retaliate. The hammer was too heavy, too fast. Each blow carried a suffocating pressure that made the air shudder. Yven's temples throbbed with frustration. Kael watched in a mix of admiration and helplessness, unable to find a single gap to slip in. Yahng Murong's exhilaration grew with each exchange. The hammer suddenly accelerated threefold, its shadowy arcs wailing. A thunderous boom, it caught a young Jaya man square in the chest. The muffled crunch of pulverized bone and flesh erupted. Before a scream could form, his body detonated into a scarlet mist. Flesh and droplets of gore sprayed everywhere. Quick, stop her. The remaining 3, eyes blazing, sent 3 streams of divine sense crashing down simultaneously. Yahng Murong's movements stuttered, a momentary opening. Dignity forgotten, all 3 pounced for a killing blow. Boom, in that same instant, a spear thrust forth, indomitable. A longsword swept in, murderous intent unfathomable. 2 arcs of razor light tore the air, whistling shrilly as they sliced into the melee. Spiritual energy surged, sand and stone flew.
Kael and Yven had struck like lightning. Wounded and helpless under the combined onslaught, the three men buckled. Yahng shook off the divine sense suppression and stormed back in explosive rage, hammering another two to death in a blink. The lone survivor, face twisted in despair, caught a glancing slash from Kael's sword. No longer daring to fight, he spun and fled madly into the distance. Swoosh, a figure flickered into existence like a phantom, blocking his path. Nero's shanks stood with hands clasped behind his back, robes utterly still. His tone was mild. "You won't be leaving now." "You cannot leave." The man let out a grief-stricken howl, but before his mouth could fully open, a needle of cold light, condensed to the extreme, had already sunk into his forehead. A soft hiss as Sword Kai entered his skull. Thump, the corpse collapsed. Kael slowly sheathed his sword, the last wisp of cold light dissipating from the blade's tip. Yven, with practiced efficiency, had already finished cleaning the battlefield. He returned quickly and huddled close to Kael, heads together, voices low.
"How much?"
8 storage rings, 5,708,617 origin crystals.
"How do we split it?"
"She gets 43%, I get 25%, you get 32%. Yahng and Nero's shanks watched, utterly baffled. The pair's synchronicity was so perfect, it sounded just like dividing spoils and balancing accounts. Before either could comment, Kael smoothly tossed one storage ring to Yahng. "Big sister, yours." Yahng's eyes widened. She casually pushed it back. "Does big sister look short on money?" "You keep it." She pulled Kael aside, lowering her voice, though it remained louder than a normal conversation. "How did you end up with that stone, faced stiff?" "He's stingier than a miser, haggles over every crumb, and definitely isn't easy to get along with." Nero's shanks turned to Yven with an awkward look. "Junior brother Yahng, that's just her nature. Please don't take it to heart." Yven's face remained expressionless, though his arm ached slightly. Kael cleared his throat. "Brother Yahng is actually decent. We've worked together quite smoothly." Worked together? Yahng blinked, suddenly recalling the deadly synchronicity of their earlier coordination. Spear and sword interweaving flawlessly. Even if she had charged them recklessly, victory wouldn't have been certain. What exactly is going on here? "Sister Yahng," Kael glanced at Yven, who gave no objection, and spoke frankly. "Do you know about Fat Fu?" "Fat Fu?" Yahng's eyes lit up. "That's one fierce character. Killed dozens from 2 families in a single day without being discovered. Impressive, but that name is just too awkward." Nero's shanks, ever meticulous, felt his expression shift drastically. "Brother Gu, could it be?" Kael nodded. "Fat Fu, he said, is me." He paused. "To be precise, it's both of us." Nero's shanks fixed a complicated gaze on Kael. "Given your temperament, you actually went through with something this insane." Yven was silent for a moment. "He offered to make money with me." "And then?" I believed him. Yven paused. "So I did make money." Nero's shanks raised an eyebrow. Then he heard Yven add in a low murmur, "And also, I want revenge. Very much so." "Very, very much." Nero's shanks sighed inwardly, then turned to Kael, his tone tinged with wonder. "Brother Gu, I heard you managed to trade for that spirit pill." "I never imagined Yahng, hidden so deeply, would possess such a treasure, enough to make the Lord of the Wishful, filling pavilion, agree to part with it willingly." Yahng smacked her fist into her palm in agreement. "That's the spirit. When I first heard you entered Feng, Wu Yven, I nearly thought you had a death wish." Kael smiled, but didn't elaborate further. Yahng waved a hand grandly. "Today's killing was thoroughly enjoyable. Brother Gu, come on, let's go to your Feng, Wu Yven, and sit for a while." "This big sister hasn't visited that girl Folly yet." Kael nodded. "Fine by me. I have something to discuss with you both anyway." Wasting no time, the group cleaned up the remaining traces of battle and shot off toward Feng, Wu Yven.